Hi there, it's Tiffany of Clarity, Confidence, Courage, Women's Empowerment. I am a women's life coach that helps empathic, heart-centered women get on with their life after they've gone through a divorce from an abusive or narcissistic husband or partner and is ready to move on and live their best lives. Today's topic is about 3 behaviors that you must do after you divorce your abusive spouse, husband, or narcissistic partner. After you leave that marriage, these are 3 behaviors that are pivotal in your healing, in your progress, and moving on. And they're very difficult. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. They're not easy. The reason I bring this up is because I see so many women after they get divorced from the abusive partner, the narcissistic partner, they leave the husband, and they're still putting themselves in toxic relationships, in toxic friendships, in bad careers. And it's like, why am I doing this? These are the 3 things that you didn't do as to the reason why you're still doing this. If you can get through these 3 things, you're going to completely change your life. All right. Now, before we jump into this content, make sure you share, like, and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I love new subscribers. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure you share this with your friends, other women that you know have gone through a divorce and is trying to move on with their life. All right. Let's jump into this content. Now, the very first thing that you will need to do after you've divorced an abusive or narcissistic ex-husband, you must grieve the relationship that never was. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is when you married your partner, you thought you were in love. You thought that you were going to have this amazing marriage, and you thought even in the relationship, when things were tough, that part of marriage is working it out. Part of marriage is perseverance. Part of marriage is getting through it and making sure that you put your all into it to make the marriage work. You thought you were in a relationship. In your mind, you still believe that your marriage was a real relationship. I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, it wasn't. It wasn't a real relationship because you were involved in the relationship. You were in it to win it. You loved your partner. You were giving it your all, even when he degraded you, even when he was abusive, even when he put you down. You were able to sum up the courage to forgive, to move on, to do all the work, right? The emotional work, the physical work, all of it. Guess what? You, in your mind, created a relationship that you believed you were in. He was never in a relationship. He was not. The only relationship he was in was the one with himself. He never loved you. He may have said he loved you. Even after you divorced, he may have said things like he loved you and he wanted you to come back. He may have said all the right words, but I promise you, he never loved you. He loved what you could do for him. He loved himself. He was in a relationship with himself. You were just a tool of gratification for his needs. So when I say grieve the relationship that never was, you have to acknowledge that you were not in a real, loving, reciprocal relationship. You were just a tool that he was using for gratification. Now think about that. And I'm not trying to say that you're an object, but in his mind you were. When I say you were a tool he was using for gratification, he didn't see you as a human being with feelings and emotions that deserved kindness and respect and love. He didn't feel any sorrow when he abused you. For him, when I say you were a tool for his gratification, I meant that he used you in order to feel good about himself. So for example, if he was angry and he had a terrible day, he would take his anger out on you because that gave him release. You see, it's not so much that, he cared about you so much and you did something wrong. No, he was angry and he used you, he victimized you, he abused you so that he can get that anger out of him so that he could feel better. And once he beat you, once he yelled at you, once he screamed and put you down and he got that gratification of, the rush of having control over you and oppressing you, it was over. And the next day he might pretend like nothing ever happened and he was smiling and asking you how your day went because he was able to release. And all those times that he needed something, whether it be sex or money or, drugs, whatever, he was able to use you in some way to get what he wanted. The house needed to be clean. He told you to go clean it. I'm telling you, he saw you as an object for his gratification. So for him, he was never in a relationship. You were. In your mind, you were. But for him, you were just a tool. And even at the point of the divorce, I can promise you, even at the point of the divorce, even if you initiated, The reason he was so angry wasn't because he wanted you back. He wanted his family back. That was excuse and lies. He was angry because you were embarrassing him, because it was showing that he couldn't keep his family. It was about ego. Like, there's no way in his mind that he was going to let you win. That's what that was about. I promise you, he already had a replacement waiting in the wind. Have you ever noticed that as soon as a woman leaves an abusive situation, she takes a long time before she can probably ever date again or get in another relationship? But the man, he has another woman like that. He has another girlfriend, another wife, whatever it was. It's like within a month, he's over it. Not over it, but he's moved on. It's like the new wife. Even if he's texting you saying he wants you back, he still has someone else that he's sleeping with. She's just replacing you now because she's an object now of the gratification. So you have to allow yourself to grieve, come to the realization that it was not real, not for him. It was real for you, but it wasn't real for him. It wasn't a real relationship. Because in a real relationship, you have a person that doesn't just say they love you, they show they love you. And they're consistent. The ups and downs and the roller coaster emotions, that does not exist. They have consistent behavior. You can count on them. They're stable. They communicate. They listen. They allow you to express emotions. That's a real relationship. That's someone who is in it to win it. They're in it with you. They're a true partner. So after you get a divorce, you have to grieve for the relationship that never really even existed. And it's almost like stepping out of the matrix and realizing like it was all a lie. So that's the first thing you have to do after you divorce an abusive or narcissistic husband. Grieve the relationship that never was. The second thing that you have to do after you divorce an abusive, narcissistic ex-husband, you have to learn how to silence the voice of that critical oppressor that lives in your head, because it's the voice of your ex-husband. You know, the voice that when you look in the mirror and you dress up, it says, you look ugly, you're fat, you're disgusting, go change, you're not smart enough, you're not that good. You know, the only reason they gave you promotion because they didn't have anybody else around to do the work. That's the only reason. It's not because you're talented. All the critical put downs that you still say to yourself, sometimes it comes from the oppressor. It comes from the experience that you had in that marriage. You were programmed literally to believe all those degrading things he said to you. And even now that you're away from him, you still hear the voice. It's like I'm not even in the house with that person, yet I can still hear him in my mind. How is it possible? Because that is the result of the abuse. Physical abuse is horrible, but physical wounds heal. The mental wounds stay with you even when the person dies, when they're gone out of your life, when you divorce them, when you leave. Years later, you still hear their voice in your head. You still hear the oppressor's voice in your head. That you are nothing, that you are terrible, that you're a terrible mother, you dress like a whore, and all these horrible things. You still hear the voice. And that's why a lot of times I tell women, when you get out of these relationships, you need therapy because it's not over. He's still there in your mind. He's still abusing you every single day in your mind. It's not over. And you need therapy to heal, to learn how to silence the oppressor. And it takes time. A lot of women that come to me, not only do they do the coaching with me, but they also are in therapy. They're doing both. I am not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist, but I am here to coach you and help you with tools to rebuild your life in different aspects and areas of your life. One of those areas, building up your self-esteem, building up your confidence. But I highly suggest therapy as well, so that you can unravel all of that. And it takes practice. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to practice silencing the voice of the oppressor. Every time you hear that voice that says, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not accepted, you have to flip that around. I am good enough. Shut up. Tell the oppressor, be quiet. Go to your room. Go to that box. Put it away. Put it away. I am good enough. I am beautiful. I am enough. I am worthy. I deserve that. I'm talented. People love me, and they do. You have to tell yourself these things. in order to practice silencing the voice of the oppressor. And eventually, I promise you, eventually he will be silenced. Eventually, it will be over. It takes time, but you must do the work, do the inner healing work. You must practice. You must pour into yourself. But that is one thing that you have to do. You have to silence the voice of the inner critic, the oppressing ex-husband. Now, if you like all of these videos, before I get to number 3, if you like my videos, make sure you check out this video right here when I talk about 5 ways to rebuild your life after dealing with a narcissist. Trust me, you're gonna love it. I'm gonna put the video in the link below. You'll see it pop up here, but I'll put it in the link below. Now, the third thing that you need to do, and ladies, I promise you, it's so important. You need to kill off the old self. And when I say kill off the old self, I don't mean actually kill yourself. I'm talking about the old version of you. You need to kill her off. The version of you that didn't have boundaries, the version of you that listened to the inner critic, the version of you that put yourself down, the version of you that let people walk all over you, the version of you that didn't take risks, didn't take chances, didn't try new things, the version of you that didn't even allow herself to dream. You have to kill her off. She was the victim of the narcissist. She was the victim of the abusive ex-husband. She was the person who was willing to be in a codependent relationship. You have to let her go. You have to say goodbye. Because if you don't, she will lead you. She will be the person driving the bus, and she will lead you into another abusive relationship, another bad friendship, another terrible career. She will lead you because she is the one driving the bus. She is the one still in charge. And even on the outside, you can say, nope, Tiffany, I've got myself together. I got a divorce. I left him. I'm back in school, blah, 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 making more money. You can say all those things. And maybe that's happening. But on the inside, the feeling and the emotions you have is still the old you. You must kill her off. She must die. Starve her to death. And I don't mean literally, I mean figuratively, starve the old self until she dies off. And the new you, the phoenix, must rise out of the ashes. The new you must rise. But it takes work, and it takes time, and it takes dedication. I promise you, when you become the new you, when you allow yourself to dream and you step into it every single day, you will be amazed at the life that you live. It will be so beautiful. You have to pinch yourself to realize, like, all of this abundance was here all the time, and I didn't even know it because the old me was still driving the bus. When the new you steps in and you kill off the old self, your whole life will change in a good way. So that is number 3. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Check out that other video I told you about the 5 ways to rebuild your life after a narcissist. This is Tiffany of Clarity, Confidence, Courage. I will talk to you soon. Bye.